Can I sit over there?
Yep.
Good evening. So we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance first, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Mohan.
Well, are we delighted? Shall we pray? Lord, gracious God, we pause on this busy day's schedule to pray today for the people of the world. Preserve the people of every nation from tyrants and heal them of disease. Protect them in disaster and war and famine. Especially we remember to pray for country Ukraine. Help all women and men and children walk in the ways that lead to peace. We pray today for our village and town. Heal the rifts and fear caused by violence and racism in our country, in our school, in our streets. Protect all of our children and give them lives of safety and hope and joy. We pray today for our country. Give wisdom to those who govern us, to our mayor and the council, to our president and our Congress and our courts. Keep safe those who protect us from danger, and form us as a nation where justice flows like a life-giving water. In Jesus Christ's name we pray.
Amen. Yeah, should we now? Could we stand again for a minute, please? One of our workers, Rich Kelly, who did all the clerical for the police department, he died. I'd like to have just a moment of silence for him, please. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, first thing we got to do tonight is public hearing, override the tax levy limit, tax cap limit. Need a motion to open up.
Make a motion, we exceed the tax limit of 2%.
Need a second on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye?
Opposed? Okay. Then we have the hearing about the amendment of the 260-11, 15A. Josh, you gonna talk on that?
Yeah, I can.
I need to open, need a motion
You
open
gotta
for
talk about this.
what?
You just opened the public hearing.
Oh,
for
okay. Excuse me 1 second.
Yeah. So we need to, like, you guys need to discuss this or ask if there's questions, or
So we need a motion to open it.
we did.
We did, okay. I thought you voted on it. I thought it threw me off there.
No, his motion was to increase the tax, exceed the tax cap.
Yeah.
Well, we can't, because
Until
we have to open the public
Hearing
hearing.
first, that's what I thought, and that's why we voted on
So
it.
are you changing your motion to opening a public hearing to exceed the tax cap?
I'll rescind that motion.
Okay, and we have a
And are
second to
you
open it.
seconding that motion?
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Now we have discussions on it. Any questions?
Can you explain it? Tell me what it is?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the state requires that we not exceed a 2% increase in the tax levy each year.
Okay.
It is adjusted for inflation, some other things. Ours is actually, what 1.02% is the lowest we can increase
1.02%.
the tax levy. in order to exceed that, we do have to have a public hearing, and then we need to take a vote on it so that we can exceed that amount. If we don't have a public hearing and we exceed that 1.02% increase in the tax levy, we would have to take that money, set it aside, and then give it back the following year.
Okay.
If we can't balance the budget and stay within that 1.02%, which is, what's the total amount, Jody?
Like $14,000 or
$14,000 is all the taxes we could
It's
increase.
just to balance the
for
budget,
the-
though,
So we
right?
need it
Yes.
to balance.
Yeah, just to balance the budget.
Okay.
And we're going to do the best we can to keep it like that, but as you know, with all the prices, everything that's gone through the ceiling, we're not ordering extra stuff, we're trying to keep everything. If we can keep it an extra year, we're trying to do that. If we don't have to repair something, we're not going to. We've been trying with the police to try and keep the overtime. We're just trying to keep everything. The guys aren't going to be riding around in cars on the DPW if they don't have to. We're just going to say, because it's going crazy and it's going to go even higher. I mean, 14,000 for a village-wide thing is not a lot of money.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
You know, I don't mean to slow everything up, so especially you, I want to get out here. Does that mean that with the police department, because I'm very concerned, I've mentioned before that there's really very little police presence. I'd much rather pay higher taxes as long as we have a police presence in the town, in the village.
Well, we intend to keep a police presence. We've just been trying to cut back on the overtime and things like that and see if we can do something.
No,
like-
I understand.
Yeah, no, we're not.
My
no.
concern was the police department.
Yeah, no, we're not looking to eliminate the police. We need to keep the police. We're just trying to keep everything. We don't have to get a new squad car. We don't have to get a new truck. We're going to keep it. That's all we're trying to do.
Yeah, the actual cost of the police force we have now, it would actually take, if we wanted to have 2 officers on duty 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, it would take about 10 officers. Right now, we have an authorization for 5 plus a part-time chief,
Okay.
and we do try to keep 24-hour coverage. But if we were to give you more coverage, we're going to try to stay with what we've got. If we try to increase the coverage, the police budget total, it costs us about $90,000 per officer that we have on duty. So that would really whack our
That
budget.
includes the retirement and,
Yes.
Yeah, all this stuff
Yeah,
together.
Yeah, that's way over what we pay them, but that's the actual cost of doing it, so we have to keep that in mind. And those costs increase, we have nothing to do with that. Their health insurance, the retirement fund, and some other ones, those are fixed by other agencies that we have nothing to do with. So whoever we have on, even if we didn't give them any more money, the cost of keeping an officer on duty will increase this coming year.
right, my only concern was to make sure we had police, even if it cost us a lot more. That's just my concern, but that's maybe not be everybody else's concern, but that's my concern.
Okay.
Could you
Yes.
just state your name and address
My
for
name
the...
is Rita Ray, R.E. is the last name, and it's 19 East Brook Road.
Yes, sir.
Hi, how you doing today? Just to understand that better, just for my own clarification, now the vote on that for the tax levy is to balance the budget, but does that mean that property taxes will go up if it's passed?
A little bit.
Just
It's the levy.
tell us who you are and where you live.
Hi, I'm Wade Allen Holtz Jr. I just purchased a residence at 47 Shepherd Street, Walton, New York.
Okay.
The tax levy is not the same as the tax rate. We could not increase the tax levy, and you might see a decrease in your tax rate. You could also see it going up. If enough property was taken off the tax rolls, which every year we've lost some, did we gain any this year, Jody, or did we lost again?
a little bit because they put Mountain View on the tax rolls
On the
and it
tax
was on a pilot program.
So we don't tax every piece of property in the village. The churches don't get taxed, the government agencies, some
Yeah.
stuff like that.
No, I get that. The fire department, the church is certain
So the
things are
rate-
taxed exempt.
The rate can go up and down whether we do anything with the budget or not, and
Okay.
it's based on, so
You've answered my
the rate
Yeah.
and the levy are 2 different things.
You've answered my
The
question.
1% would really do no effect. If it was 1%, it would be no effect on your tax, hardly at all. Pennies, yeah.
All right.
Voting to be able
Thank
to
you.
override the tax levy limit doesn't mean we intend to do so. It just means if we have to, we
The
can.
option.
Yeah.
Understood.
Any other discussions or questions?
For the price of gas alone, we're gonna have to raise it.
The way they're going, I mean, it's kind of scary. I mean, if you go look in town and see what it is, I mean, My sister lives in California. She told me it's already over $6.50 a gallon. My God, it's kind of scary. But anyway, if there's no other discussions, we need a vote.
We need to close the public.
Close it first. Close
Motion.
it first.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now we need a vote.
Now he can do his,
Now you can do your thing. Now you can make that vote.
I can,
Yeah.
okay, so we're closing the public?
Yes, we're done.
We've done that.
Okay, yeah, no, I thought they just made a motion.
No, that was to close the meeting.
Oh, closing the hearing, okay.
Yeah.
All right, I make a motion that we be allowed to override the tax levy.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we got that right.
shoo.
That was a tough one. Okay, the second public hearing. To amend 260-11, 15A. Need a motion to open up.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Now, Josh, thank you.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions with this? It's not really too much of a change, it's more of an interpretation of the actual zoning. Or is anyone here for it or anything?
No, and again,
Okay.
Explain what you...
Okay, so basically in section 260-11, single-family residential areas, permitted uses, a building or land shall be used for the following purposes: two-family dwellings. So if you read down further, there is permitted conditional uses, not permitted, conditional uses. And anything that is two-family, three-family, or more is a conditional use permit, permitted. So in other words, if you wanted to take a single-family house and put apartments in it, you have to get a conditional use permit with the planning board. On section B of 260-11, two-family dwellings is allowed. So this is just to interpret the code better. So it would be changed to newly constructed two-family dwellings. Does that make sense?
So newly constructed, not grandfathered in, not ones
Right.
that are previously existing.
Exactly.
so you still have ones that are grandfathered in.
You still have non-conforming ones,
Right.
but if you did want to change something, you would have to get a conditional use, which would be reviewed by the planning board and by the village board of trustees, and you would have to meet building code and
Right.
everything with it.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question that's kind of around that, but just wanted to know. What happens when you have your multifamilies, your two families, and they're not being used, like half the ones in town? Do they lose their status after a certain
They
amount
can
of
lose
time?
their status.
I mean, I've been here 5 years, 6
Yep.
years, and that couple of them over there, they've been empty forever, and they're
Right.
trashed and, come on.
Trying to work
guys.
on it. There's a
Well, I
lot
heard
of
you're doing
them.
a great job, I mean.
Oh, well, thank you.
My house is like that too, and I never knew the answer. It's a two-family house, but we don't use this.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it's not, well, I came from downstate, and if you don't use it in a year, you lose your status, and then you have to apply for a new one.
Right.
But
And there's also a thing where it exceeds 50% of damage of the assessed value. You have to start all over again with it. So you would have to get conditional use permit and everything. And you would have to be able to comply with
Right.
local law.
Well, again,
and
my
everything.
concern is that you got so many empty ones that
We
are run
do.
down that
We're
nothing's
trying.
happening.
Yeah, we're
I'm
trying.
a landlord
Yeah, yeah.
for 37
Yep,
years.
yep.
I lost some money on them.
Yep.
And so that's my concern, is
Yep.
that it's running the town down, the village.
Yeah, it's something I am working on.
Thank you.
So,
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You could check, Josh, but I believe you're correct, the conditional use. I know when it changed ownership, that goes away.
That goes away, yeah.
Does it go
And I,
away?
Yeah.
and I believe it also, after it's abandoned for a year,
1 year.
1
Yep.
year, after a year.
Really?
Yep.
Ooh, I gotta talk.
You have to start all over again with it.
Does that
so,
answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It helps me a lot.
Yep. Does anyone have any questions with it or anything? There will be more to come, but it's just to interpret this better, so.
Because you've
More of a-
identified other
Yes,
portions of the code.
in fact, the last 2 weeks, there's been several other sections that contradict each other a little bit. So you could interpret this a couple different ways here. In fact, there was several interpretations of it, but just to make it easier, so in the future, and no legal issues, so. All right?
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? We'll close the meeting. Need a motion?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
All right?
So we're gonna, Josh, you're gonna work on it and come back again with other,
Yep.
right? Okay, so there'll be no action right now then. Okay,
Okay.
got that. Number 3, public input. If anyone would like to stand up and say anything, please just give your name and address, and we'll give you a couple minutes to talk. Okay.
Hi, Wade Allen Holtz Jr., 47 Shepherd Street, Walton, New York. I was just coming to address an issue that I addressed months ago. And you said, I spoke with you and you said to contact NYSEG about putting the light up in front of my house on the pole because it was unsafe. And I've almost backed into pedestrians now a couple of times because it's too dark to see them in between from light to light. And I wanted to let you know an update and say I actually spoke to NYSEG. Finally, after calling about 10 times, I got a representative to call me back. And it was from the lighting committee and everything. And they said that they would have no problem coming and putting one up, and that they were going to contact you specifically about getting the approval from the village, because they put up the lights, but it has to be approved by the village.
It's not only approved by the village, but we have to pay for it. There's a cost there.
Just like all the other lights in the village. Yeah. So I didn't think adding one because it's unsafe would be a...
Well, I don't know, I mean, there's a pole 2 houses down from me, right? light.
It's 3 houses.
3 houses or 2 houses?
Two houses one way, 3 houses the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And which leaves a good span of distance where it's too dark and I feel it's unsafe, and I've actually almost backed into pedestrians on the sidewalk coming out of my driveway. And I go slow too, that's why there's been no incidents. But I'd like to be able to see them if that's possible.
Yeah, I heard from Rosie called me from NYSEG and she talked to me about it, and I said we're gonna bring it up tonight and see what the board wants to do with that.
Yeah.
Could we, do you have any idea what it costs for each light pole?
No,
No,
not right now, no.
okay.
Do we still have a contingency plan in the upgrade of the new LED streetlights where they said that they would be willing to add or remove or move existing lights in their survey that we had originally in place? Is that still on the table with them?
Because I was gonna say most of them are like LED now and they're very...
I think we had them when I was gone. I think we changed them all. They've all been,
Right, but there was a clause in there saying that they would be flexible on how we settled the change.
You can add anything you want to, but they're just gonna keep charging.
And
Yeah.
I'd like
They're
to
not gonna-
I'd like to add one thing though. I'm not a renter. I've purchased my home in the village. I own it outright. I don't have a mortgage. And I plan to be here for a long time, so if you would really consider to put it there, I'd be grateful and appreciative, and make sure that I can see pedestrians and stuff coming out of my driveway, along with it's a shared driveway with my neighbor, and she thought it was a good idea as well.
well, what do you guys think?
How far
There is
apart
another
are the
pole
rest
there,
of them?
Butch.
Huh?
There's
How
a
far
pole there,
apart are the
there's
rest of
a
them?
lot of stuff.
3 houses down. I don't know.
If they move the light from one pole to another, is that gonna make a difference?
It'd make a huge difference it'd make the
For
other,
his?
it'd make his brighter, but it'll really, really darken the other.
Yeah, and then it would leave a space gap, which is just as dangerous in between the next one. I mean, and there is a pole there existing for them to put it up.
I don't know how far apart they are. I mean, I know on my street, there's only 2 streetlights on the whole street.
Right, yes.
I
It's
mean,
not-
it's not a big street, but neither is yours.
I just don't want to accidentally have an accident because it's unsafe. And I felt like it was an issue. I've gone through almost a year of calling them and now coming back to update you. I haven't bothered you about it or anything. I've done it the right way through the channels.
Yeah, on my street, town, we used it,
I only have one light on Platt Street.
yeah. There's a lot, the point is, I understand what you're saying, but there's a lot of streets that we have the same kind of conditions on. Where I live, I think mine's the next house down, but there's not one for another 2, 3 houses after that
But
too.
also yours is, I'm sure, flat. Mine is a hill where I have that curve going up the hill, and that's what makes it difficult, is you can't see along the sidewalk.
You got a point.
It's not like every other block in the village.
No, it's unusual because your driveways are very steep.
Very
You
steep,
back up.
and there's a hill where the lawn is, and it comes up and it covers it. And I would really appreciate it if that would be something you would take into consideration.
We'll take a look at it.
Yep.
That,
Research the cost.
I'll take another look at it,
Before
see what it
it,
looks like,
you know,
see what we can do. I can't guarantee it, but I will take a look.
okay, as long as you can bring it to a vote and check into it and see
Okay.
that it's addressed on the floor, because I went through the channels since they came months ago, and
Right.
sat here and tried really hard to get that.
I think we'll go take a look at it, and we'll give you an answer next month. Is that-
Sure, I'll be
that'd
here next
okay?
month. If you'd like to postpone it and look into it and give me an answer next month, I'll wait.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else would like to say a few things at this time?
We'll give his address.
Yes, sir.
Well, in Rentham, I live on 30 Platt Street, and I just moved into the village. I lived in the town of Walton all my life, except for when I was in the service. So I'm a towner now, as opposed to a kid from the sticks. There was always a little competition in school when I was living there. But I'm here to ask the village board to consider the possibility of making White Rock an official village landmark. As I understand, White Rock is on village property. And to give you a little background on this whole thing, last April, a year ago next month, my sister Debbie took her grandchildren up there to White Rock on a field trip, a hike, and discovered that the rock was covered with graffiti, swastika, obscene language, and so forth. I knew Kenny Hansen had in the past gone up there and painted it one time, so I contacted Ken and asked him if I bought the material and the paint and the brushes and so forth, if he would help me paint it. And he agreed to do that. And he and I and another young fellow went up there and we did paint the rock. It just happened the day that we painted it, the elementary school kids had planned a trip up there. So they were much surprised and pleased to get up there and see that it was all clean and all, you know, all the graffiti covered over and everything. And as I understand it, I'm not sure who does it. Maybe some of you know. Somebody goes up there and puts lights up there during the holidays, so it's lit up.
I believe it's Graydon Dutcher.
Who's that?
Graydon Dutcher does it.
I thought maybe that's what it was. But as I said, the reason I'm here is I ask you to consider making it a village landmark. I don't know what the legal aspects of that would be, liability aspects and so forth, but just another thing is when we painted it, Ken posted a picture of it before and after on Facebook, and we had nearly 500 responses, and of course everybody was, all of them were favorable, and everybody thinks that something should be done. What happened in particular that year was the first year of the COVID. Evidently the school kids went up there and painted in school colors, which is fine. But what our thought is that maybe there's some rules about if you want to paint it, get an application. I don't think there should be a charge for it, but get an application and sign an agreement that if you paint it, you're going to
Maintain it.
well, repaint it
Yeah.
after a specific amount of time, and be a limit as to what you can put on there. So that's my proposal.
Okay, we can look into it and see what it would entail. I don't think if it's anything too financial, it wouldn't be a problem.
I didn't know that it was village property.
We're not sure it is. That's the other.
Well, yeah, I'm not 100%
It may be
sure.
on private property.
Pardon?
It may be on private property.
I think it's on village property, because I think it's on the same piece of property that they bought when they put the water tank up there.
I don't know if Jody couldn't find, I know we'd looked and we weren't sure where it was, correct?
It's in the town,
It's in the town.
It's in the town.
but
It's
I
in the
think
town.
we do own it. I think it's on our land, but it's in the town.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so we can look into it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll look into it.
Great idea. Definitely look into it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 4, the abstracts. Everybody's had a chance to take a look at them. We need, if no changes need to be done, I need to have a motion to approve the abstracts.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Wastewater treatment. Jason?
Everybody get my report?
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
So,
Depends on the day.
we're under the max flow,
Yes.
but we're still in violation for turbidity?
Yes. Yeah, we, shortly after I was here at the last meeting, we were over our minutes for turbidity. We're allowed 2,160 minutes, and we were at 3,736 minutes. As you'll see on number 5, we did have 5 spills that Lactalis notified us about. That does not count the spills that they did not notify us about, and those are the spills that caused the turbidity violation.
How many of those were?
Unknown. I can tell you that pretty much for the majority of the month, the plant was white. So it's definitely an ongoing thing. We're trying to work through it, email chain daily, but we don't really seem to be gaining much ground.
Has there been any contact yet? Last month you said
limited.
you weren't talking.
There's been more than there was last month, but it's limited. They haven't told us what the issues are. We've had some chlorine hits, which they've emailed about, but for the most part, whether or not they're looking into things, I don't know, but we don't have much information on it. So.
We have a new contract that we put together that will address issues like this, that if there are spills and over things that cost us a lot of money and chemicals, that they will be responsible for them. And the lawyer's looking at the contract now, and as soon as we get it, we'll hand it to them, and we'll have to go back and forth on it, but we definitely have to address these issues, because it's not, very rarely we don't have an issue lately, so this is something we have to, and the contract would straighten this out. Or because they would cost them a lot of money, and therefore they would make sure that they would take care of the problem.
It's putting us in touch with the city.
And the state, and we have a.
Yes, John.
Also in the new contract is the state gave the village limits for the industrial user. So that was another reason that the contract itself had to be upgraded, updated, I should say. So, you know, it's not only the village is setting limits, the state is saying this is what you can put in the wastewater plant, so.
Right, and to piggyback on that, the village has a state permit to discharge into the river. And if we don't meet that permit, then the state can levy fines against the village. So that's where it comes into the village making sure that everything is kosher at the wastewater plant. Nobody's picking on anybody, it's just, we got rules to follow, and we can't do it the way we're...
And they're the only industrial user we have, so it's not, you can say, well, is somebody down the block doing it? No, you're the one that's giving us all the stuff, and they've already tested it. We know that when they drop whey, it's going to change to green, because we've already tested it to see what happens when they're not working, and you put the whey in, what happens to it. So we know it's that plant that's causing our issues.
And the same with the chlorine, there's nobody in the village that figures
Yep.
the chlorine volumes that we're seeing in the plant.
Right.
Which is, as you know, detrimental to the biology, and so we shouldn't be seeing treatment or chlorine being discharged into the wastewater plant or into the sewer system, let alone the levels that we're seeing coming in the door. So not only does that kill the biology, but it also takes away the food source, which feeds the biology to keep it, you know, thriving and active. So.
Yes.
I have two questions, somewhat simple.
She's not supposed to talk.
The water, I've noticed, every once in a while tastes really funny. That's on the water issue. The sewage, does this village check for COVID to check the percentage of COVID?
No, we don't.
You don't?
No.
That was something Syracuse University was involved in for a while.
Yes.
They were looking at certain wastewater plants around, but mainly Syracuse University focused more on their area on that end of it. To try to, and all they were doing there was they were trying to pinpoint certain areas and also know there was an outbreak in one neighborhood over another. Where that ended up, I don't know. I don't think they ever...
I never heard anything on it after the initial
They
start.
never published any of the data. And the larger cities were doing it for quite a while too, the same issue.
And with the water, is there, like you mentioned, there's someone new that's dealing with it? Is that just dealing with the sewage or the water? Are they, is there an increase in chlorine, or is it increase of some other chemical that's making the
Oh,
water?
whatever they had nothing to do with our water. They're just separate. They have their own,
Wells, right.
They have their own.
they have their own water system. They don't have affect us at all, but yeah.
Well, you still treat our water.
Right.
I mean, is this the same? I'm just asking.
No.
No, everything's been the same.
Everything's been the same.
You talk about your drinking water.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is wastewater.
No, I understand that. I said on a separate issue. but
Yeah, okay.
similar.
The only thing I have on my list, Steve Condon, who now is the superintendent over to the cemetery, approached me and Steve, and I believe the mayor. They were asking if they paid for, if the village would be interested in putting one on our building to give security to their gate right across from the wastewater plant. I told them that we would bring it up at a meeting and the board could decide what they would like to do.
Everything's at their cost, but we need something in writing also from them stating that no cost to us, they're going to pay for anything, and anything happens, they'll be responsible for it. Because I don't want to put it up and then find out a week later something doesn't work, and they say, well, you guys broke it, so you're going to have to pay it, so. Right, you know what I mean? That's.
Yeah.
Because we currently don't have a system, right?
We currently do not have a security
Right.
system, no. Just the fence and the
They-
barbed wire.
What they're actually asking for, if I understand cemetery people correctly, they would furnish the camera, hook the whole thing up. There is a minimal charge for the electricity to run the camera. They're fairly small. And they would need our infrastructure, our Wi-Fi,
Right.
in order to receive the picture. It would actually be monitoring entrance and going in and out of the sewer plant, because that's where it happens to be.
Right.
So we would have the benefit of additional security camera, which I don't know how many we have now. I know the police department runs it. So it would actually benefit us with a minimal cost. But the camera and all that would actually belong to the cemetery.
Right.
None of it would actually belong to us.
Would be monitoring the footage.
We would have to, because they wouldn't have any way to receive it.
So that would
They
be
would have to have access to it.
monitored by the police department?
I believe that's who it's connected to. You don't have any security cameras.
We don't have any security cameras. I know Kevin Brown was doing all of theirs, so I don't know if he monitors it because he does security monitoring as well. So I don't know if he's monitoring it too.
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure where the picture's going. All I know is where they wanted to put the camera.
So it'd be in addition to the security we already have. So we actually, it is a benefit to us.
Right. Provided they put something in writing that would cover us, I think that would be, how do you guys feel about that?
That sounds great to me. Something in writing, and then we can approve it.
Yep.
Yes.
Clarify, who has access to monitoring. I mean, that is just generally important procedure. I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
All right.
Good, thank you.
That's it.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. You bet.
Thank you. Bill Engineering? Please.
I do have a couple things to ask you guys to bring up tonight. There are a few ongoing projects at the wastewater plant. I&I is one of them, working with New York State Environmental Facilities on the grant that was awarded to the village. Our goal would be to get cameras in the sanitary sewer system in April-May timeframe, when the groundwater is usually higher and the frost is out of the ground and before the leaves have all started coming on the trees and sucking some of the water up. So probably at the April board meeting, we would be coming back for approvals to initiate some of that stuff. On the switching to the kind of the water side, the overall system upgrade is in design. We're working with surveyors to come out and do survey on some of the streets. Currently, the ongoing work, folks may have seen the drill rig at off of Water Street. So that is the start of the process of replacing or installing another well for the Curry well field. Lane Christensen came in last week and installed the initial boring, and that's advancing. We started our guess really was that we'd need to go down about 80 feet in the gravel. They drilled 80 feet and it was very, very sandy material, which isn't conducive to a municipal drilling or municipal water well, so we did need to go deeper. So we do have a request from Lane to cover the cost of going another 80 feet into the ground, and they did identify a gravel vein in that deeper depth that we're hoping is going to provide the water that we're looking for. So we do have a request to cover that additional cost from what the initial bid was, which is in the amount of the additional cost is in the amount of $65.50, and the overall project cost for Lane was $35 and change. So this would put it around a little over $40,000. And this is funding, the village is planning to use the ARPA funding to cover this.
Need a motion for that?
So, yeah, it comes from the funding that we already have, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, the first half is there, right?
Did you make the motion, Dick?
I was going to. I'll make a motion that we authorize $6,550.
And you'll second it?
Additional payment to Lane.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Good. We'll hopefully be able to report back next month with the status of the well. I believe the screen was installed today, and they're planning to start the pump test probably next week, and that'll give us an idea of the water quality that's there, and we're hoping to have, similar to our other wells, to have minimal treatment and not have to put in filters.
Will we know then how many gallons a minute we'll get?
We'll have estimates on that. So
Okay.
we're putting in a 6-inch well currently as our test well, so we can verify that the water quality is there. We'll be able to take some given amount of water out of that and use that to protract. If we put a bigger well in, we may be able to get a larger volume. So
Okay.
yes. The other, I guess, bigger, or the other project in the works, the reconstruction of the oldest section of the village highway garage. So the village had received a $200,000 grant from DASNY, which had been sponsored by Senator Metzger's office when she was in office. We did design for that, and we have bids that were received last week. So 3 bids were received. The lowest bid was from Tweedy Construction in the amount of $413,431. So when we did the bid package, worked with the DPW to identify things that we could potentially pull out, deducts on the net project that could be done either at a later date or potentially by village DPW in an effort to reduce the project cost and stay within our target budget. So when we started this, probably 3 or 4 years ago, when we did the initial application to get the funding and then waited for the funding to come through, our target was $400,000 with $200 from the grant and $200 of village contribution. So trying to stay in that range, we look to pull out a few things, which are notably a heating system initially, and the other utilities, the water, and the initial insulation. So if we pull these 3 or 4 things out, we would have a shell that we could store things in, and then over time finish the building off to make it a more habitable space. So we had, in reviewing with DPW, look to bring the project cost down to $324,323 by removal of those couple of things. The project also entails the village doing the initial demolition of the garage, again in an effort to try to save money in the budget versus hiring that work out. So trying to maximize what can be done in-house in order to maximize how much project you guys get.
And that demolition's included in this cost?
No, the demolition's not included in the cost. This cost is just from the contractor for basically putting in the slab, putting PEX in the slab so that in the future a boiler could be connected to heat in the building, and then the framing and roof structure and shell. So it's just the building itself. The demolition by the DPW would be separate, but looking to do as much of that in-house as is possible. There's probably going to be some equipment rental associated with that. We need to get an excavator or some jackhammer, that kind of stuff for the concrete, depending on what we get into as that evolves. But we wanted to have a plan to that the building's gonna be rebuilt before we started knocking the existing one down, so. That was our plan, was to get bids in, see if, there's a lot of volatility, we all know, with everything, in addition to construction markets. It does look like we can move forward with getting at least the building shell up to get away from the leaking roof and the structural issues that the current facility has. So if the board wanted to entertain award of the bid to Tweedy Construction Services of Walton, said the net base bid price was $413, but we'd also be authorizing 4 deducts to have a net project cost of $324,323.
Well, I certainly like that it's a Walton company.
Local folks, yep.
I would move that we accept Tweedy's bid.
I need a second.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
That, all the debris is going to be, Tweedy's going to take that away?
Yeah.
Okay. That is included.
Need a second on that?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
There's a second resolution that carries with that, just to authorize the mayor to sign the relevant paperwork. So we've got that with us to sign. If you approve, sign your life away half a dozen times.
I motion we authorize the mayor to sign the required paperwork.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That it?
That's all we got.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Did you want him to sign it?
You got it right there.
Just 9.
9?
For it. Yeah. 3 times 3 times 3.
Well, I can get someone else to talk while you're doing it. I'll sign it.
Josh?
Code?
No, Public Works. Butch?
Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
I know a couple people probably didn't get my report.
Yes, we did.
You did get yours? Mr. Doyle says he didn't get his.
That's right. I got a new computer. There's several things I didn't get.
All right,
Add
great.
his email to your new
I
address book.
was checking both.
So some of them are bouncing back.
Yeah, the only one I keep getting bounced back is Steve's. Everything's pretty calm. We did have a slight ice jam last month. Wasn't serious, but we had help from this town crew, the state DOT, and Soil and Water assists with that. We avoided a possible minor flooding issue. Then the DOT actually came back the following week and removed some more debris that was in the Westbrook down by the Hurry Well area. So that helped out a great deal. Couple meter issues. Nothing too. The weather held out a little bit better for us this month than last month. Any questions on any of that kind of stuff?
We shouldn't have said that out loud.
Yeah.
Probably should.
Now you know we're gonna get 3 blizzards.
I was going by the future forecast, so that's why I think it's safe.
We got 3 foot of snow, 3 years ago or something?
Yep. Snow's usually March is a heavy month for snow, but it melts right away. So that's the only positive thing about it.
Our plowing budget ought to be good. How's the salt budget?
Salt's doing pretty good too.
Is it?
Yeah.
We didn't run out.
Not yet. The only thing I have to discuss and request, we've been talking about the telemetry issue going on with our well fields. We're continuing to have some issues with that, so I spoke to the contractor. He had said that as of right now, like if the village said yes 3 weeks ago, late June would be the absolute earliest you'd get here because of supply issues and scheduling and that kind of thing. So what I would like is I request the village board to authorize the mayor to sign a proposal from Aqualogic Systems for design and installation of the integrated controls and telemetry system for the water system as a professional service. They do all of it. They do the design. They got to build all the cabinets. So yeah, that's all I got.
Just so people understand, that's the brains of our operation.
That's the brains of our operation. We got 5 wells, potentially gonna have 6, and they're all automated. They turn on off as a water tank.
drops, goes up, shuts everything back off. And you absolutely have to have it to have everything run. And we do have, and that also controls a sewer pump station over on the other side of the river. Our system is getting fairly old. I was thinking it wasn't that old, but time flies by, and it is well over 20 years old at this point in time. So things are failing. We're having issues getting parts because it is old. The contractor who installed all of our stuff and custom built it is now retired. So getting him here is much harder, and he's getting ready to move south, so.
Want to get him while the picking's good, right?
Yeah, yep.
So we need a motion for that, right? They allow me to sign?
Yes.
We just have the total cost.
It was right around 114,000 off the top of my head. I don't have it here with me, but.
And part of the strategy to pay for something like that was money freed up through refinancing.
Correct.
So pleased that we were able to make a wise financial decision there.
Yep.
To make a necessary investment there.
Yep.
So I would make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
I'll bring that to you tomorrow.
Other guys, thank you, yes. Be early. Josh, code?
So I sent my report via email. It was a little bit slower month. I had a week off, and a lot of people weren't too thrilled doing fire safety inspections with COVID, but I recently just started firing up fire safety inspections again. So we also had some sidewalk violations. Wasn't as many as last month, but there were still a few, and they were all vacant properties. That's pretty much it. Well, with the report, does anyone have any questions with the report, or?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Straightforward.
All right, so also in February, I was trying to schedule code enforcement. In order to keep your certificate, you have to do 24 hours of in-service training. In February, I had 4 classes scheduled to do my in-service training. They have all been canceling via webinars. So I don't know what's going on. Maybe webinars are starting to get away. Maybe the state's not making their money. But their New York Builders Association officials conference is holding a code enforcement training. 24 hours in service. I get it all done in 3 days. The code class is $400, and there's 2 nights in the hotel. It's like $169 plus $14.99 service fee and some taxes in there. So roughly around $800 for everything. It's 3 days, I get it done. I don't have to worry about piecing classes in here and there. Reality is, you know, the training does cost money. There is also a $60 membership to the New York State Building Officials Conference, and it could lead into other training and everything too. So I would just need an approval if it's okay. $400 for the class. I could try to find a cheaper hotel room within the area. The one right on site was $169 a night. So
I vote that we send Josh to the training.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
thank you.
You have to have the training, so
Yes,
regardless.
yes, we do.
And if you go down to, maybe half a mile down the road, you might get it for $5 cheaper, maybe, but
Right.
you're right there, so.
Yep, okay, thank you. The other thing that I got is, I believe Mr. Doig, you got the letter too, transition Catskills. I don't know how much you guys want to participate in the NY CERTA program. You have 1,000 points towards the 3,000 points already needed for a $10,000 grant by NY CERTA. They are doing a code enforcement officer training Wednesday, March 23rd, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and that will generate 200 points towards that grant. I don't officially need those training credits, because I'll complete it all here, but it could go towards the NY CERTA
Very
grant.
familiar with NY CERTA.
And the more points we get for that, the less the cost of the insurance is, the better.
Okay,
a motion we authorize the.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Good. The other thing that we got is Thursday night, we had a planning board meeting for 15 Platt Street for a conditional use permit for a conversion of a single-family structure to a 3-unit. I have no issues with it. Parking will be accommodating to local zoning. The thermal envelope, insulation, everything will meet New York State code. Room sizes, everything is great. It will still keep the character of a single-family house on the outside. So now the planning board referred it to you guys. They have no issues with it. So it all depends on if you have any questions for it or anything.
Well, for conditional use, isn't the next step of public hearing?
Yes, it would be. So
we need to schedule a public hearing.
Yep, a motion we schedule public hearing, do our due diligence.
Let's do it,
do you guys want to see anything with it, or?
Do it the next next meeting? We'll do our public hearing.
Okay, motion made and seconded.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Anything else with me, or?
Introduce your deputy.
Oh, yeah, my son, Lucas Morgan, he's my deputy,
Deputy code?
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, she is not here. Trustee reports.
I have nothing to report.
Nothing to report.
The water and sewer plant is working at 110 capacity.
Very good.
Can't do any better.
Can't do it.
I do have a motion to make about approving the election coming up. Jody, you have to remind me of the date.
15th.
March 15th.
March 15th.
I'll be the only one that's not
Next
there.
Tuesday.
Oh, thank you. Does anyone want a second that we should have an election?
No, we don't need to. It's from noon to 9.
Noon
Thank
tonight.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, it just happens to be the exact same times and the same day as the school budget vote.
The school budget vote.
Oh,
So if you're gonna go out, remember, the village elections occur here at the village clerk's office. It is the same day as the school budget, but you need to come here and come and vote.
and the school budget's.
Is that the bus garage?
The bus garage.
So people might get confused because that's where we used to vote all the time, but
Yeah.
if, for the village elections, it'll be here in the
Yeah,
village
our
hall.
elections are that
From
they
12 to 9.
picked for us.
That it?
Thank you.
Mr. Doig, you got anything to
Make the
say?
judge happy? You make the judge happy and authorize the mayor for this. You want to approve that so he can sign it?
Oh,
I thought you were running the court.
no, I'm not running the court, but I'll read it.
Okay.
Okay, the current justice of the village court has brought to our attention that a grant was received by his court for $30,000. The money should arrive April 1st, and we would have 180 days to complete the project. The grant is for installing much-needed air conditioning in the village court. God, I hope that's okay. Jody suggested I reach out to Butch to confirm the vote is still good. That means we have a bid. ANC was the bid, and the quote is still valid. We just have to let them know if we're moving forward. To do that, we would need to have the mayor sign the bottom of each page, attached to the quotes, and mark accepted and return to ANC. So I guess what we have to do here, the quotes are $21,364 and $13,389. The total quote is $34,753. The grant is $30,000, and therefore its exceeded projection is $4,753, which the village would have to come up with. Can you please let us know if this is being approved? So here we are.
It's certainly better news than where we started because we weren't sure how much money we would get for the grant.
Well, where we started was we were paying $34,000 for an air conditioning system.
Right.
I really don't think they're gonna charge us that full amount because we already have central air in 3 other places in the building. I don't think they're really aware of. But. So are we giving that permission to accept the grant?
It's up to you. Up to you guys.
Oh, I have all the authority.
Well, I mean, we need
I say
motion.
yes forthwith.
And then you're gonna have to figure out if you're gonna wait until June, because there was nothing in this year's budget for that $4,700.
Well, ANC
Or if
might
you
be-
wanna do it now, then you're gonna have to tell me what line you're adjusting to get that from.
We should be able to do it next, we have 180 days for it.
Yeah.
And that's from approximately when the money shows up, which is approximately the 1st of April.
Yeah. So we'll.
We'd have
it'll-
3 months, so
we would have
it'll
3
be in
months.
June.
So you want to make a motion and we accept it, they can
I
sign
did
it?
that already.
Okay. You
I'll
wanna
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
So
Okay.
we're waiting till June?
June.
Okay.
We're gonna sign it, but we're gonna wait until June before we do anything. Anything else? Dick, you got anything to say?
No.
No?
There's some watershed job. Yeah, well, I mean, we did lose one police officer, I know I mentioned it before. Unfortunately, our police department doesn't pay we're one of the lower paid departments in the county. And we did have one officer, he went to Vestal
Are we
for
gonna
more
get
money.
rid of it? Are we gonna get rid of it?
Well, we're looking for now. We have a,
We have someone we're interviewing at the time.
I just never see any police on the street, you know? I'm just surprised, I guess because I came from downstate.
We spent a whole night right in front of your house.
I beg your pardon?
Well, when the tractor trailer decided to come down 22 and got stuck in the corner.
Well, I brought it up 5 years ago about having an auxiliary police department, like we had downstate, and it's volunteer, and the village would only have to pay, usually the county does the training, and they would have to pay for a uniform or just shirts and hats and vest, and then you decide whether you want an armed auxiliary or not, and the county police usually trains you for nothing that I'm aware of. They poo-pooed it, last chief, thought that was a horrible idea.
You can bring this up.
what?
You can bring this up.
What's that for?
Dollars and scholars.
It was an email that came today.
I can
You can make it, good. I didn't even get it.
Yeah, the other thing I have is a request from the Walton Dollars for Scholars, and their trustees. And they would like to have permission to have a fundraising 5K walk in the village on Sunday, May 8th. That's Mother's Day. Be a morning race held between 8 and 10 along the route to Walton. Walk for hunger typically follows starting at Austin Lincoln, over the footbridge across Bruce Street, up East Street, across the Grizzle Street, and up Delaware Street, across Bridge Street, to Stockton Avenue, through the high school driveway, down Maple Street, to Stockton Avenue back, and come back and start in the park.
Whose insurance certificate do they
They
have?
would have to have their own insurance certificate. That's the way we've always done it.
Yeah,
They've done, I believe they've done.
we've done this before.
Yes.
And that is a request from Rachel James, President of Dollars for Scholars.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna be in the street, right? They're
No.
gonna be on the
Usually they
sidewalk.
do it
Sidewalk, on the sidewalk, yeah.
It's not that big a 5K.
Yeah, yeah.
Pending the insurance certificate, I move that we allow the 5K.
I think the Lions have always insured them before, probably.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I'll give that to you.
Yes, sir.
Heard you talking about that, and Dick mentioned that maybe the Lions Club would do it, the insurance. You know, I'm the commander of the local Legion, and the Legion is responsible for the Memorial Day Parade, and for the last 2 years, we couldn't get the insurance, that's why we didn't have an actual parade for the last 2 years, but mainly because of that, not because of the COVID. So, it just,
Well, you're a
to
Lion.
let you know that.
Yeah, I'm a Lion. I've always done the Lion thing I've been here for 20 years. I've always done it for the Lions Club. The Lions Club, the only time we didn't do it is there was a time when the Lions Club during the COVID didn't have the insurance. They canceled the insurance, so we couldn't do it. But prior to that, we've always done it. Lions, I always do it. I do it all the time. Well, we didn't do it for a year and almost 2 years because we couldn't get our insurance ourselves, so we couldn't do anything.
That's right.
That's the only reason why you didn't do it.
No.
Didn't have it, I'm sorry, didn't do it. Didn't make sense. Not good English. But we-
It'll go okay this year, we can.
No, it'll do it. I'm the one that does the insurance for the Lions Club. We'll do it. We always do it. It's just that we couldn't get the insurance because of COVID.
Well, last year, my understanding was that it was a time factor.
No, it's the insurance from the company. You have to have it done within time too, don't get me wrong. You can't do it this
need
week
a
for
month.
next week. We need at least a month because we have to notify DOT and they have to give the okay and everything. So we need a month ahead of time. I always tell George about it. Usually I tell George and he does it.
You haven't told me yet.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
As long as we're notified a month ahead of time, just notify me, tell me, give me the dates and I'll take care of it and we'll let DOT know. Okay? I've been doing it for years, so we didn't have a problem.
Did we do all in favor on the kids?
Yes.
Yes, we did. I'll go to you for next. You got anything?
Yes. The park is still anxiously awaiting summertime. Again, we're going to be looking to hire lifeguards. You have to be 15 years old to be a lifeguard, 16 years old to be a lifeguard that does swimming lessons, and you need a water safety instruction class. And funds for that are either fully or at least partially provided through the Candy Russell Laps for Lifeguards fundraiser that was held last year. So don't think that you're going to have to pay a big fee for your student to come and take the WSI course. We would love to have as many people as possible sign up to be lifeguards this year. Let's see, at the theater, they're trucking right along. They're looking forward to the Art Walk 2022 this summer and the things that will happen there at that event. And those are still in planning. The classic flicks this month is Smokey and the Bandit, which is Thursday, March 17th. That's always fun. Music on the Delaware this month is hosting the Real-Time Dixieland Band, which does covers of greatly renowned jazz artists. And that is Saturday, March 12th at 7:30. Music on the Delaware is also hosting a coffee house concert in the Andrea Paternoster room upstairs, and that is Pat Reynolds and Friends playing traditional Irish music. And I believe that is the 20th. I neglected to write down the date, but I do believe it's March 20th. It's going to be it's a Sunday.
Is it virtual?
No,
Oh,
it's in person. The COVID has been
it went away.
relinquished.
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, the grant for the lifeguards, will it cover all the applicants to take the course?
Only Walton applicants.
Okay.
So other students from other town can come and take the course, but the grant is only for Walton students. That's what I've got for you, sir.
Thank you. Eric, you have anything?
Well, just wanted to mention, there's something I've been working on for a little while, which is promoting international tourism and building a pen pal relationship with a county in Ireland. Recently received an email from Cavan County Executive Tommy Ryan that he's planning to have a visit to Walton in May with Councilor Clifford Kelly. So we're going to come and visit the town. So I thought that was pretty awesome that they'd be considering Walton to stop by. So
Good.
More
That's cool.
details to come and more people to be involved when that comes together. So that's
Good.
it.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right, now, the mayor's report. I have a couple things. The first thing I gave everybody a copy. The Coalition of Watershed Towns, they have an executive committee. And every year, when people leave, they have new people come on. I've been trying to get on this for a while because it really directly involves working with the city. And and this time, my name got on the ballot. I guess they put it by mistake, but there's myself, Bud Gladstone from Andes, and Winifred Zubin from the village of Fleischman. And one town board alternate is Shane Moshe from Andes. So, in order for me to fill this out, I need to get approval from the board for me to fill it out.
Motion for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So then the end result goes to the county board and they make the final vote. So I'm hoping they let one of the mayors get on that. Because it'd be something good to deal with the city and let everybody know here what's going on.
No, we don't have to fill in all 3 spaces on that.
I'll fill it in on mine. Not each one individually. I just got one. I made copies just so everybody can handle
No,
it.
I mean, we don't have to fill in.
Only, I just got to put the check by the 3 names, and if you wanted an alternate, you would write it in. The same thing here, just put a check Or if you wanted any alternate, you would write it in. Right, so I'll take care of it and mail it in. The other things that I want to let everybody know about, I sometimes do videos, sometimes I don't go on Facebook because there's so much
Drama.
There's a lot of drama on Facebook. Everybody mentions my name, and I won't go on and dispute because people want to fight, and I don't like to fight. But I want to let people know what's going on. The bowling alley. It's always a contention, the bone of contention. We have a buyer. I've signed the contract by the board. The person who's buying it has signed the contract. So we have a signed contract for the bowling alley. The closing is the 12th, next week. And then the official owner will be Dr. Tom Doyle, who comes from Long Island. He said he will have the bowling alley up and running for leagues this summer. I'm thinking it's been vacant for a long time. He might have more stuff that he's worried about, but he's got 20 guys waiting to go in and start working on it. He's got a bowling alley that was closed, that he's got alleys and everything he needs, the equipment he needs, so he feels very optimistic, and I'm very happy because we've been trying for years to get someone there. He said as soon as the bowling alley is up, his next thing will be the restaurant. He's already spoke to that guy, Clapper from the bar, the regional bar, Tapper, whatever his name is, Tafford. And he said he might, if not him, somebody from his company will come down and help him do it. And I've already got 2 other people that are interested in places over there to rent out. So he's got a lot of work to do, but it looks really promising. At least we got someone in the bowling alley. That's the main thing. I think most people will be very happy. The next thing I want to talk about, 150 Delaware on the corner of Townsend Street. A couple bought the building. I went and saw them Friday. They redid the whole inside, all new sheetrock, painted, and it's open for business. On the second floor, there's 4 rooms. There's going to be a local artist who already rented it. It's going to have an art exhibit there. On the first floor, if anybody's interested in opening up a business or even partial business, let me know. I'll give you her number. You can call her. The rates will be really good for renting. She just wants to get people in there to, so I think anybody has any ideas to doing business, now's the time, because you're going to get a really good rate down there to do something. The other thing that a lot of people were talking about was Tom's Tire Barn. That was like a big thing on Facebook. Someone said that I told them that it was going to be a new place in a month, but it's not true. What I said, the Joe and Vinny's Pizzeria had bought the building, gosh, I think 5 years ago, and they decided they got a better offer from somebody that has a couple franchises. All I know is that at the end of this month, they're going to do closing on it, and this company is going to come in, and it's going to be a drive-through franchise at that location this year. Which one, I don't know. There's speculation it might be Dunkin' Donuts or something like that, but it's going to be a drive-through, whatever it is. No one knows for sure exactly which one, because the people that are buying it have a couple franchises. But it's definitely going to be a drive-through, and it's definitely going to be this year, and they're closing the end of March, so everybody knows. So I think, which is another good thing, there's another business coming into Walton. And as far as I have, that's all I have on that, but I just wanted people to know what's going on. All right, the next thing is number 8, the 2022-23 sewer budget approval for NYC DEP expenses.
I sent you guys it out last Thursday. Were there any questions, concerns? We just need to approve the DEP part, so we can get that to Lucas to get it submitted to the city, so we're not waiting until December for money.
We need to approve it?
What's that?
So to make a motion that we approve it?
Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All 900.
All right, number 9, we need to set a public hearing for water sewer capital charges. Date and time.
I move that we set that hearing for the
Can we
next,
do that next regular meeting, Joey, or
Yes.
next regular meeting?
yeah, I move that we set that hearing for the next meeting, next regular meeting.
Okay.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And the last thing, we need to set up a budget workshop date.
You waiting on any additional information?
See what Jody was, you
We've
know.
still got a little bit of information we're waiting for from the chief, but we need to get going here.
Any weekday after 3:30 is good for me.
Same.
I did speak to Devin, and he has contacted the rep from the PBA. He is supposed to be giving me a contract, their preliminary, what they want.
Yeah.
So I should get that right away.
So if we set it for next week, we'll probably have the contract by then?
Who knows?
Maybe.
I can't guarantee it.
But for them, we told them we wouldn't do what, we already gave Jody an idea for just them, the cops. So the rest of the contract we have to work on. But any day next week, good day for you, a bad day?
Any day's fine.
Not
Wednesday.
Tuesday.
Not Tuesday.
Make it a Wednesday after 3:30.
Wednesday after 3:30, is that good?
Sounds
Yep,
good.
that's me.
March 16?
I know you're usually busy
At
schedule.
3:30.
You could do like
Yeah.
3:40.
I'll have to cancel 10 appointments.
3:40, all right, 3:40, 3:45.
3:45.
3:45 on Wednesday, on Wednesday.
That's next month,
Yeah, it's coming Wednesday.
16th.
Yep.
Did you say you were making corned beef for everybody? Yes, no?
Not this Wednesday, a week from Monday, right?
Yeah, I got 'em.
Yeah, not this week.
Not this one, next week. Oh, St. Patty's Day.
Yeah.
Thursday, right?
So 16th is good?
It's good?
Budget
Okay.
workshop.
Budget workshop, yep. I believe that's it. Anything else anybody has to bring up?
Did you look at this? And we don't have to do it until April.
Which one are we looking at? We want me to look at?
This is sliding scale.
Huh?
What we have is low-income seniors. And we don't have a sliding scale. This was set by the assessor, and she wanted to know if we wanted to use a sliding scale like the town. The school does not. Town and county do. What they do, if a senior, they get an exemption. So if their income is, I think it's $8,700 is what ours is right now. If they make more than $8,700, they get nothing off on their assessment. If they get under $8,700, they get a 50% reduction in their assessment. It only affects a few people. Doesn't have to be done till April. I don't know how many of you got this. It was actually sent to us. Did you look at it, Jody?
I think I sent it
Yeah,
on.
you sent it to everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody else read
I
it?
didn't get it.
I glanced at it, but no, I
Okay,
haven't.
what they're requesting is now, it would have to be done by mid-April. It wouldn't have any effect on this year's taxes, so we wouldn't have to worry about it in the budget. It would show up next year in the taxes. But they're requesting we either use a sliding scale or at least increase it. There's a couple people, one individual, their taxes would increase by $550
If we don't.
if we don't. Okay?
It's a lot of money for somebody who makes around $8,700 a
If
year.
you got it,
So that's something you guys can look at and we can talk about.
but you need to look at it before,
Yeah.
so we can do
Okay.
it by April.
Okay,
Have a
all
special
right.
meeting for that, possibly.
No, we can talk about it.
We can talk about next meeting, we can do
Yeah,
it.
it doesn't have to be done now.
Okay.
Yeah, there's only, that's only the amount of people anyway.
Yeah, there's very few properties.
There's very few properties, so it's not a real big effect. Okay. Anything else anybody wants to talk about? Nope.
No.
Then I guess we're adjourned.
No executive session.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Okay, you got it, all right.
As far as I know. Whose book
You
is
made it, Eric? You said 7:30, right? You
Whose
made
book
it.
is this?
That was, oh jeez. Who left the book here?
I don't know.
No.
No?
Yeah.
A bill for 300 grand.